Welcome to Bilal Consultancy, where we delve into the world of efficient project management strategies. Today, we're focusing on a vital tool in the project manager's arsenal, the Gantt chart. What is a Gantt chart? A Gantt chart is a project management tool assisting in the planning and scheduling of projects of all sizes. They are particularly useful for visualizing projects. A Gantt chart is defined as a graphical representation of activity against time. It helps project professionals monitor progress. Gantt charts are essentially task scheduling tools. Project management timelines and tasks are converted into horizontal bars, also called Gantt bars, to form a bar chart. These Gantt bars show start and end dates, as well as dependencies, scheduling and deadlines, including how much of the task is completed per stage and who is the task owner. Gantt charts show planned activity against time. They are frequently used throughout projects, programs and portfolios after tasks have been identified using a work breakdown structure. A timeline, like the Gantt chart, is useful to keep tasks on track when there is a large team and multiple stakeholders. They are a useful time management and progress tracking tool. You can also use Gantt charts to find the longest path from project start to project completion, which is known as the critical path. As it's a bar chart format, it's possible to check progress with a quick glance. You can easily see a visual display of the whole project timelines and deadlines of all tasks, relationships and dependencies between the various activities project phases. Project management solutions that integrate Gantt charts give project managers insights into team workloads, as well as current and future availability, which allows for more accurate scheduling. History. Widely used in project planning in the present day, Gantt charts were considered revolutionary when introduced. The first known tool of this type was developed in 1896 by Karol Adamiecki, who called it a harmonogram. Adamiecki, however, published his chart only in Russian and Polish, which limited both its adoption and recognition of his authorship. In 1912, Hermann Schurch published what could be considered Gantt charts while discussing a construction project. Charts of the type published by Schurch appear to have been in common use in Germany at the time. However, the prior development leading to Schurch's work is unclear. 15. Unlike later Gantt charts, Schurch's charts did not display interdependencies, leaving them to be inferred by the reader. These were also static representations of a planned schedule. The chart is named after Henry Gantt, 1861 to 1919, who designed his chart around the years 1910 to 1915. Gantt originally created his tool for systematic, routine operations. He designed this visualization tool to more easily measure productivity levels of employees and gauge which employees were under or overperforming. Gantt also frequently included graphics and other visual indicators in his charts to track performance. One of the first major applications of Gantt charts was by the United States during World War I, at the instigation of General William Crozier. The earliest Gantt charts were drawn on paper and therefore had to be redrawn entirely in order to adjust to schedule changes. For many years, project managers used pieces of paper or blocks for Gantt chart bars so they could be adjusted as needed. Gantt's collaborator Walter Polakov introduced Gantt charts to the Soviet Union in 1929 when he was working for the Supreme Soviet of the National Economy. They were used in developing the first 5-year plan, supplying Russian translations to explain their use. In the 1980s, personal computers allowed widespread creation of complex and elaborate Gantt charts. The first desktop applications were intended mainly for project managers and project schedulers. With the advent of the Internet and increased collaboration over networks at the end of the 1990s, Gantt charts became a common feature of web-based applications, including collaborative groupware. Citation needed. By 2012, almost all Gantt charts were made by software which can easily adjust to schedule changes. In 1999, Gantt charts were identified as one of the most widely used management tools for project scheduling and control. How to use a Gantt chart. The underlying concept of a Gantt chart is to map out the tasks to be completed and their order. This can identify tasks that can be done in parallel, at the same time, or in sequence, one after another. If we combine this with the project resources, we can explore the trade-off between the scope, doing what needs to be achieved, cost, using more or less resources, and the timescales for the project. By adding more resources or changing the scope, the project manager can see the effect on the end date. To create a Gantt chart, you need to know all of the individual tasks required to complete the project. an estimate of how long each task will take and which tasks are dependent on others. The very process of pulling this information together helps a project manager focus on the essential parts of the project and begin to establish a realistic timeframe for completion. Example: in the following tables there are 7 tasks, labeled A through G. Some tasks can be done concurrently, A and B, while others cannot be done until their predecessor task is complete. C and D cannot begin until A is complete. Additionally, each task has 3 time estimates: the optimistic time estimate, O, the most likely or normal time estimate, M, and the pessimistic time estimate, P. The expected time, T, is estimated using the beta probability distribution for the time estimates, using the formula O plus 4M plus P, divided by 6. Example 2. The figure below shows a Gantt chart used to plan a benchmarking study. 12 weeks are indicated on the timeline. There are 2 milestone events: presentations of plans for the project and for the new process developed in the study. The rest of the tasks are activities that stretch over periods of time. The chart shows the status on Thursday of the 6th week. The team has finished 7 tasks through identifying key practices, measures and documentation. This is a hectic time on the project, with 3 time-consuming activities that must happen simultaneously. The team estimates it is 1/4 finished with identifying benchmark partners and scheduling visits. 1/4 of that bar is filled. Team members have not yet begun to identify the current state. They are halfway through collecting public data, which puts them slightly ahead of schedule for that task. They are behind schedule for the first 2 tasks and ahead of schedule for the third. They might need to reallocate their workforce to be able to cover the 3 activities simultaneously. A 4th activity could be happening now: develop benchmark questions, but it is not urgent yet. Eventually the team will have to allocate resources to cover before visits can begin. Gantt chart considerations. Sometimes Gantt charts are drawn with additional columns showing details such as the amount of time the task is expected to take, resources or skill level needed, or the person responsible. Beware of identifying reviews or approvals as events unless they will take place at a specific time, such as a meeting. Keeping the chart updated as the project proceeds helps manage the project and head off schedule problems. It can be useful to indicate the critical points on the chart with bold or colored outlines of the bars. Computer software can simplify constructing and updating a Gantt chart. And that wraps it up for today's Bilal consultancy session on Gantt charts. Remember, a well-structured Gantt chart is not just a chart, it's a roadmap to project success. Don't forget to subscribe for more insightful content on project management and hit that notification bell to stay updated. Until next time, happy charting and managing those projects efficiently.